we're serving up a cup of inspiration, so I hope you'll come in and stay a while. My name's Jem, and I'll be your host. For anyone who is new tuning in to Goodberry Cafe, this cafe is an interview show where I'll be chatting with guests who have a variety of different geeky and nerdy and artistic hobbies and passions about the things that they do, the things that they love, the things that they create, and the communities that they're a part of, and how all of those things affect them and everyone else around them positively. So, this show is a warm, safe, and inviting space where we invite you, our listeners, to learn about these various hobbies and activities and maybe just find and learn about a new adventure for you to try out too. So, today is a super special episode. We have our first Meet the Cast episode, as we'll be speaking to Joey Green, who plays the character of Felix the Wizard on Forging Fates, which is our actual play D&D show, which is every other Monday night on this channel. We're going to talk a little bit about his hobbies, his relationships with Dungeons and Dragons, and his experience playing with us on Forging Fates so far. But before we do get started, I wanted to thank Silver King for being our Patreon supporter this month. And if you like what you see here, be sure to follow and subscribe on Twitch and also check out our Patreon. So Joey, thank you so much for joining me today. Before we get into the questions, would you mind just introducing yourself and telling our listeners a little bit about who you are?
Yeah, my name is Joey Green, and I am humbly able to play Felix with New Age Geeks in the Forging Fates campaign. And oh man, I don't want to give too much about myself away because we're about to dive in. I feel like not to be the little on a telescope, but really, I just love D&D has brought a lot of help in my life and has helped me really just figure out how to come back into a world. I kind of had a history with the military and stuff like that. Usually don't dive too much into that. And so D&D has really helped kind of pull me back into civilian life and help me with, coping with some things that I got to tag along with. And honestly, meeting new friends, experiencing it is just great overall. I can start babbling on, and I apologize.
Well, we'll definitely get into it. But thank you so much. I am super excited and happy that you're willing to join me and we're doing our first Meet the Cast episode.
A little nervous to be the first, but let's break it in.
Extra special to be the first. Jumping right into it. Let's start talking about D&D itself. When did you first start playing D&D?
I want to say about 10, 15 years ago. Started in 3.5 edition. My first character was a gnome paladin, and I had a magical owlbear as a mount, and I loved it. I would just swoop in, kind of paradive off of him, and just kind of smite as I went down. Pretty amazing.
So what got you started playing?
A group of friends, really. We were bored. They said they played D&D and they wanted to get me into it. I love role-playing games. I mean, I can't think of anything I can create characters. I like the idea of just sitting down, figuring a character out, and just seeing it play and build, and just see the character creation throughout the whole game is fascinating. So,
what better way than through tabletop role-playing game where you are creating all aspects of the character and acting as the character yourself?
And when you start with a certain character, it grows, and maybe what you started with is not, what you end with isn't what you started with. That's always exciting.
It's one of my favorite parts about the game as well. So you said you were playing 3.5. So do you have a favorite edition of D&D?
No, I think, I don't know. That's a good question. I would say stay away from 40, personal opinion.
Everyone says that.
Just keep on over that one. But I really like 3.5 for the amount of creativity. I mean, you micromanage every little aspect of your character. 5e is a little bit more streamlined, which is nice. So you can fall more into the roleplay aspect of 5e because you're not burdened down by how much weight am I carrying right now, because every little dime that I'm, picking up is so much. And 3.5 is just, that's all that is really.
Mm-hmm.
But
have you ever tried Pathfinder?
I have. Yep. I enjoyed it. I think the Pathfinder I played was Call of Cthulhu, and it was kind of a very it was different kind of different era, kind of different role playing. Felt more, I guess, sophisticated as a character. Oddly enough, we did like a back. Oh man, what era would this be? Masquerade times. That's the time period we played.
I've never actually played Pathfinder myself yet, so I'm still new to. I think all I've played is 5e so far. I'm still new to everything. Still
It's a lot
learning.
like 5e, just a few little quirks, odds and ends.
For sure. Have you played any other systems? I know that there's a bunch now.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm a game. I used to manage a game store, Level Up, and so I just fell. I mean, I have Charizard on this arm, and then Charmander on that arm. So it was gaming has always been a love of mine.
Uh-huh.
I would say all-time favorite game, Pokemon. It's all in my body. It just I grew up with it. I'm a '90s baby, so it's when it was generated, and it's literally as old as I am. So it's like, oh my gosh. So,
So is Charmander and Charizard your favorite Pokemon?
yeah, I have to get Charmeleon still. I mean, I love him too. He hasn't been stamped on me just yet. But yeah, I would say that's my starter.
Mm-hmm. Do you always choose the fire starter?
All the time. Oh yeah, there's no ifs. Squirtle's on the side, sorry. Bulbasaur, psh. Yeah, always the starter. All the gens. Now, I will say though, I haven't played any of the newer gens. Except the newest. They remade Pokemon Snap, which was cool. That was kind of a nostalgia kick, which was fun to jump into. But yeah, I kind of stopped a little bit because I'm not gonna lie, the flying marshmallow. It just maybe I'm a little too old for the flying marshmallow, so I'll stick with it. But I do my best to I stay up to date. So.
Yeah, I know. There's a new one coming out, and I was like, I cannot keep up. I can't keep up at all.
Oh, constantly. And I mean, if you want to break your heart too, start reading into the backstories. Like, there's a candle that steals kids' souls in the forest. It's like, what are you doing right now? Like, it's my childhood.
uh, so you are on our actual play show, Forging Fates. How did you get involved with New Age Geeks? How did you find this?
I was lucky enough to be asked by Joe to jump into the server and join a group of people who are just trying to get together and play a few one shots and see if we can figure out, a group of people to do a main campaign. I would say I had no idea what I was walking into. Is the one shot, just Joe blew me away. I was just floored by his DMing skills, to be honest. I think just to do every single one of those one shots, if you kept up with us, I mean, there were so many games, and so that in itself is just a feat for a DM to do. So that's pretty fantastic. And to be asked to sit down at the table, actually very humbling, very grateful, because we got a cast of amazing people when it comes to Gormrog's accents and stuff like that. It's amazing. So it's but mainly really just luck. I would say, just like Felix, he plays a lot off luck. I would say luck is what got me at that table.
What was that one-shot audition process like for you?
Exciting. The game was phenomenal. I think it was probably one of the best one-shots I ever did, to be honest. Looking back, they're definitely worth. I'm not sure if they ever ended up being recorded or put in a database, but they're definitely worth going through and just watching all of them, because there was an amazing amount of group of people just that came together. Just you saw so many different types of personalities, just so many different types of role playing. It kind of makes you see how many people it touches. This game is just a spider web. But I would say at the end, I was pumped. Like, I didn't want to stop playing. I mean, we obviously had to. There was a point where it has to end. But I would say overall, I felt pumped. I could put it in a single word.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite moment from the one shot?
I would have to say when kamikazed my magic focus into the elemental's chest and imploded all my time magic, and everything just kind of exploded. I would say that.
Were you playing Felix
Then
for the
being,
one shot?
I was not, but I was playing another Chrono Wizard. So yeah, I would say Felix is uh, wizards are a little bit difficult to play in my opinion when it comes to the magic. It just there's so many spells that you have to learn, and so I've been playing wizard for a long time, so I felt really comfortable with a certain subclass, and it makes it flow and feel more natural. I guess I don't have to stop and think about any spell that I need to do. It just kind of in the back of my hand.
So is wizard your favorite class?
Hands down. Yeah, sadly. I mean, I'm playing a cleric. I like support classes. I'm playing a cleric right now in another game, and I love it. It's doctor and phenomenal role play in that game too. And anything I can like help party members get better at or do what they want better, I'm all about it. Um, so you'll see that a lot with Felix. He definitely tries to be as supporty as possible for a wizard.
Is there a class that you haven't played yet, but you're looking forward to?
I would say Barbarian is one that I've never actually gotten to play. Am I looking forward to it? With some of the new subclasses coming out, yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a magic junkie. I like casting magic, so anything, if I went rogue, it's Arcane Trickster, so Barbarian gets a little bit lacking on the spells, but I do believe I'm definitely mistaken here. I feel like a subclass came out that there is a magical rage of some kind. I'd have to look at it. Maybe it's a homebrew that I was looking at, I don't know. But that would be cool. If I could, just do wild magic as I'm raging, that would...
What's your take on homebrew stuff?
I love it. I think it embodies the game as best as it can. The one rule that everyone forgets is maybe there's a structure, there's rules, but it's meant to be changed. And it also helps with metagaming, right? You have people who come in who've been playing for a while. It's nice to have oh no, here's a dog. I've encountered a dog every time, but a homebrew can change all that. You don't know what you're facing at all. So it takes metagame, throws that out of the window. Now this dog can fly. Congratulations.
Do you homebrew your own stuff?
Yeah, when I DM games, I would definitely homebrew some stuff. I've tried to go along with the book, but I'm really bad at holding players in. I'll start with like a one shot, and it always turns into a campaign. I just want them to be free. I want it to be super sandboxy, and obviously, if you're going through a pre-built game, there's gonna be walls somewhere. I break the walls down. I'm like, yeah, the ocean keeps going. Sail it. Let's see what happens. So maybe a little too much. Thinking about it, maybe dial it back.
And you mentioned metagaming. So, what's your take on metagaming, and what constitutes metagaming in your eyes?
This is one of those opinions that can get some rocks thrown at you. But I would say a metagame is gonna happen. It's a game. We're at a table. Retrospectively, I mean, no matter what you do, it's metagame. Especially as I play wizard, I have to look up my spells at a game beforehand. That's super metagaming. Everything a wizard does is super metagaming. So I think I don't see that as real like negative metagaming. There is that negative connotation of if you're trying to look at stats of creatures or see like resistances and play against that can kind of I could see that as a little bit I wouldn't do that. I would try to avoid that. But usually a DM, once they start seeing that, if they pick up on, okay, somebody knows the stats of something, that's when that homebrew starts happening. And now this frost giant is, fire resistant. Congratulations. That type of But yeah, I don't see any issue with it really. It's a game. It's meant to have fun.
What about when like players outside of game start like talking and trying to plan things that they're gonna do in game? What's your take on that?
I think that's just constructive planning. As long as you're not going too crazy, like I was a continent away and Jeff over here said, he liked the color blue in the other continent. Now I know he liked the color blue. that type of metagaming. Like that doesn't make any sense. So that type of stuff I think could get a little out of hand. Um, but a DM fix for that also just rain meteors from the sky. There we go. Metagame is done. So
Oh, so I want to talk a little bit about Felix, but I don't want you to spoil anything that I wouldn't have known already in game. So no metagaming. And so without any spoilers, can you tell us and the listeners about Felix as a character?
oh man, I'm gonna be like Tom Holland and just do all the spoilers.
No.
um, I mean, ah, he is a wizard, and he casts time magic, and he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. I think that's the best I can say, without giving too much away. I guess, yeah, there's not much I could really say without giving it too much. It stinks. I could tell you what his spells are.
Sure.
His favorite,
Yeah.
his favorite spell's Fortune Favor, hands down. He's going to be casting that as much as he can. He loves to give people the choice to change their own fate or have another choice, another option. So I guess he feels that everyone should be able. Everyone gets to choose their own path regardless, and he might feel like he's lost in such a way. So he's also using time magic to try to replace himself or maybe find himself.
And how does that spell work? I know you've used it, I think, on my character before.
Yeah, it's one of those spells that take a little bit of planning. It's 1 minute to cast, so I'm definitely not going to be casting it inside of combat. But sit down for a minute, and I make a tiny little pearl I can hand to somebody, and it's pretty much a free advantage, and they use within an hour. And you can use it on an attack roll, an ability check, and you just there's no action, no reaction. You just use it whenever you want to. So it's pretty nice.
And so Felix already knew Clover, and we've already uncovered that in game, so we can talk about that.
Yeah.
So what was his relationship with Clover?
They grew up pretty close. Once, I'm pretty sure Clover talked about in game how I dropped her off at Honeycombs. So once I found her, and Lyndon was a good friend of mine. Felix himself would have grew up kind of lonely and kind of dislocated or just distant from regular people. And Lyndon is just such a bright, bubbly person, so charismatic, so loving. The Honeycombs themselves, the family is just built to be just the most welcoming family you can ever imagine. You sit down at their table, they're throwing food at you, So they helped, Felix out so much. So the only person Felix could have thought that Clover would be safer in would be Lyndon's hands. Nobody. So Clover got dropped off at Lyndon, and they became just really close friends, kind of protecting themselves throughout as they grew up with school, both being kind of different. But they really did separate. I mean, because Felix did go to college, and other than communicating through letters, not much has happened with Lyndon, Clover, and that family. Felix tries his best to avoid any type of relationships. And when it comes to family, he's awkward. You sit down at the table, and he's being hugged by somebody's mom. Like, oh, he's just, what is going on right now? It's like, what is this love? Ugh. And so he still has to learn how to accept some stuff.
I love it. Where does your inspiration for Felix come from?
I would say a little bit from my past, actually. I wanted to be able to role play him really well. I wanted to kind of feel on how he would react, and so my facial expressions would be a little bit more honest with that. Yeah, so I didn't have the insert the sad backstory, boom, and but other than overcoming some stuff, and I'm very happy with where I'm at in my life, and I love my family, my wife, my little Leo, he's awesome, and without that stuff happening, I could not have grown to be who I am. So, um, yeah, a little bit of just my history, but not too much because the world in D&D is just so creative, and so I don't want to give too much away from it. But I'm a multiverse freak. I love Spider-Man. So when they came out, like I've been reading the comics forever, and like the clone madness saga, all these things that I read in the comics, and they're finally pulling out into the the big pictures. So I got a little bit on the ooh, Doctor Strange kick. Like, oh yeah, let's do some time.
I kind of got you in a room with my last guest, Matt, who is also a
Yes,
Spider-Man freak.
but it has so many questions. It was awesome. Uh,
Yeah,
there's so many of us. Or the Spider Verse is huge. You know.
very true. And coming into the game, like when you got in after that first one shot, did you already have an idea of Felix, of the character that you wanted to play, or was that just from getting accepted to our first play, um, something that came up then?
Um, in the beginning, I think I kind of, if I had a general idea, if I got accepted, the type of character I'd want to play. Uh, I I'm kind of, it's probably not a good thing, and I need to get away from. I'm really scared to play anything other than a magic class, like a casting class, like casters. I don't know why. Uh, maybe I strive to do something different than in my regular life. I did a lot of martial stuff, a lot of martial arts stuff like that in my real life. So maybe it's like, okay, I want to cast some fireballs in this manner, but I've honestly probably stunted myself. I need to explore different different classes. I think every D&D player, if the more you can explore the classes, the more fun you can have out of the game. It's like playing, a single game, that has so many different choices, but choosing the same choice over and over again. So I definitely did choose to change a lot of Felix, and but in his core, he's probably the same type of support character I would normally play because I'm always trying to better other people. I want to, if somebody's trying to jump, over a mountain, whether it's successful or not, I want to try to make it better. I want to try to help them. I'm going to enlarge them, or I'm going to cast jump on them, you know, and that's super satisfying for me.
Mhm. And how did your backstory being tied with Clovers, how did that come up?
Um, I really don't know, to be honest. When we all connected, it was so natural. Everyone was, we really all just clicked, and just a really good group of people. We enjoyed the game, so I think we were all just sitting there talking about each other's characters, not trying to give away too much. And then Clover's like, "Hey, it seems like you have a good idea for this character, kind of a halfling, kind of the same idea she was going for. It fits really well together. It's just we had two good ideas that almost puzzle pieced together."
Love it. I always
Yeah.
wonder when there's tied in backstories, like how do they come about? Um,
Yeah, I mean, and also there was I would definitely, without giving too much, breaking the fourth wall for the people. Joe put in a lot of work when it came to helping us get into the mindset of our characters, and we did the the music. Oh my God, I can't talk. I apologize. The playlists,
mhm.
and mine is a single artist that everyone's obviously told me, Rush, but in Prof is on there, and so that really helped to get us in that feeling. Sit there, listen to our music, kind of get into that headspace. It was cool.
How did you approach that playlist task?
Listen to a lot of music. I drive a lot, so I would just put Pandora on and just shuffled through every type of genre that I could think of that I felt, Felix kind of embodied. And a lot of it was kind of like rock opera, kind of Meatloaf style, oddly enough. I really
Yeah.
like that. That is like big, thunderous, and epic time, type traveling. I think even I have the Rush song Twilight Zone. So then that type of idea, I see that in Felix's head. It's definitely out there. He's just holding it in to show. And he's trying to not show it.
Hopefully, one of our mods or somebody in the chat can link your playlist. I think that'd be really fun to link. Uh,
Oh man, I'm sorry. There's like a 7-minute song on there, guys. So if you do, You going through it. Be ready. Pull up some popcorn. Rush is amazing, beautiful. Um, Neil Perk is somebody who we've lost. It's sad. He's the drummer. He's an amazing, amazing drummer. But, yeah.
It would be good for LA traffic personally, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, for real. Sit there, coast.
You mentioned that you played it kind of like you tend to play it kind of safe by choosing like a magic class because you know you enjoy that the most. Have you ever played a class that you just didn't enjoy playing?
Yeah, I would say this is a shame moment. I think all players have had shame moments. So I'm sorry if the DM is watching this that was in this game. I don't know. It was. I feel like I jumped into kind of a toxic game a little bit, and every character that I threw, like every single. I mean, I made like 6 characters, and I just got shot down. Finally, I said, okay, then I'll just play. What did I end up playing? Um, a bugbear paladin with sentinel and it's like I had a pole arm. It was crazy. I had like a 15-foot reach. I don't know. I really didn't like it though because I don't know. It was just I didn't know what I was doing, and every time I hit something, I just felt like I was wasting time, I guess. So I was unprepared. The paladins can do so much. Like I would do something, I'm like, I should have smited there. Why didn't I smite? So I felt really rushed, I think, and it wasn't a character that I wanted to have creativity wise. So I really didn't enjoy it. Not saying I wouldn't enjoy paladins, but I don't think anybody should be pressured into a certain class. And I think that's what happened is a DM had an idea of a class he wanted, and he just didn't say, hey, I need you to play a paladin. He made me go through all these different classes, all these different characters until I finally got to a paladin. So.
And that's sad to hear. um,
I mean,
how
there's good and bad, but
mhm. How do you go about creating characters usually? Do you start with like the story or do you start with the structure of the character and then go back and create the story?
a little bit of the story, I guess. I try to get as much of what's going on in the world. I definitely want to try to make a character that makes sense. Um, and from that, probably the structure, because I do like my characters to make sense. And the idea of the flow a little bit. I really don't take dice and just chuck them and it's randomized. If I'm taking a certain spell, it's for a reason, especially since casters are learning, they're sitting there and just they're doing something for a long time to get that magic. So, excuse me, burp there. Ooh.
And so, being somebody who's never played a wizard class, I'm thinking of playing wizard as part of a multi-class for a new character. I'm thinking of for a future campaign if anyone wants me to play in a campaign. Do you have any advice for somebody who's never played wizard before?
Have fun. Take the spells that you think are going to be the funnest, because I've always like whenever people talk about the best spell, there's no best spell. It's, I mean, I think my other than Fortune's Favor, I love animate object. I love making brooms walk, chairs, talk. It's really has no use to the game usually, and the chair has 2 HP, and what is it gonna do except be a chair and say hi? I love it. So like, what else do you need other than talking chairs?
Yeah.
Remember this, Joe, if you're listening, talking chairs, please. But
It's gonna catch people off guard. That's what it's gonna do. Like,
yeah. But be creative, enjoy it. And everyone should multi-class into a wizard, in my opinion. I would say a party of wizards would do some chaotic stuff and some amazing things. But
you seem driven by chaos. Are all of your characters chaotic?
yes, they are.
It's the most
I
fun.
would even say yeah, they are the most fun. I mean, and they do definitely get serious. Myself, I use humor a lot for a lot of things, so that probably breaks into my character a little bit too much. So I end up bringing like a chaotic Deadpool for some reason. It's like, okay, I need to dial this back. He doesn't like, don't give Felix the grenade, that type of idea. And I don't want to play that type of character. I definitely want to be somebody who's trusted. so I do have to be careful of that. Um, because it's easy to open up your spell book and be like, meteor storm? Oh. So,
Whoops. Yeah.
whoops.
um, do you have a favorite race of character that you always play?
Um, Recently in homebrew games, I've been enjoying a race that's a Jubilexian, and it's like a slime race. And yeah, and so it's from the like lore, the great Jubilexian king. It's just slime, and it's a homebrew race that's super balanced. And a couple of the subclasses allow you to mimic things. And I like the idea of like playing a mimic. I always thought that was kind of creative. Uh, it's like a shifter, except instead of being able to shift into humanoid things, it's only objects. You eat wood, that type of idea. So it takes your creativity and it changes a little bit. Like, how do you be stealthy, but you have to be an object? So it kind of,
That's nice. Never
but other than
heard
that, probably human. Yeah, yeah, it's fun. I probably more chaos, more chaos. Oh god, but
that.
usually play human. I I like to feel my character a little bit, and it's really hard. Human or gnome? Actually, I take that back. I played a lot of gnomes. Uh, I should retract what I'm about to say because I'm not, not feet tall. Um, yeah, Jubilee in human. I really can't think of another race that I've played.
No
I
tieflings.
feel shame
No
right now.
elves.
I'm gonna force myself to be. Oh, I'm bugbear. I was a bugbear. No, I was a bugbear. Yeah, I've been elves, and I guess I've never been a tiefling. Tieflings scare me a little bit. I feel like I wouldn't be able to play them properly. I guess maybe that's why too. Some of these races they embody such a sense of self in certain ways that it kind of molds your character a bit. And I like the how neutral human is, and you can be anything, everything, and not stick out too much. So I feel like it's maybe an easy character to put in for a DM. Um, so, like if I take a slime, hey, can you put a slime character in a regular game? It's be pretty hard.
So that
Oh.
homebrew class or homebrew race that you mentioned, where could we, if somebody wanted to learn about that race, where could they find it?
You can actually buy it on. It's called DM's Guild, and it's Jubilexian. I'm probably saying that all wrong. Jublexion, I believe is how it's spelled.
There you go, chat.
Yeah, and honestly, it's a really fun race. It has like 3 subclasses. It's a really well done. The subclasses go from you got like a magic casting type of subclass, a mimic subclass, and then you have like a brute acid, actual slime type, where every time you hit something, you're doing acid damage. And
Cool.
I think that's really cool. It adds a nice little twitch to people who are doing like double hand attack. To add that extra little bit of D4 somewhere helps, especially if you're a rogue and adding another D4 on top of that, you start getting some crazy builds.
Would you ever consider playing a changeling?
Oh yeah. Actually, coming to think, I probably have played a changeling. I think them as human as well. I probably should, but they are completely different. Kind of want to look up the lore now. Where do changelings come from? Because I know some races are actually from out of the world, right?
Yeah, I think the Feywild, but don't quote me on that.
Okay. Interesting. I definitely would. I like what they do. They're really stealthy. Being able to just, change your face. It's like disguise self. It's a level 1 spell for free. Who wouldn't love it?
Yeah. Have you seen She-Ra, the cartoon on Netflix?
She-Ra. I don't think so.
There's a character, Double Trouble, in that cartoon that just makes me think of this would be like the perfect example of a changeling that I would play. Yeah.
She-Ra. I'm gonna look at it.
It's good. It's a good cartoon. If you had to rank these elements of D&D, what order would you put them in? So combat and fighting and stats, role play and stepping into your character, or mystery and solving puzzles and adventure. Or, okay, and I'm adding a fourth, just general exploration.
Okay. Right away, I'll probably put general exploration at the bottom. Only just because number four, only because I love it. It's just I think it's hard to sometimes sitting there and wanting to sit in the shop for 8 hours can be hard at times. So you want to explore. But that real role play I think comes in when you're exploring that the main story. Interacting with the NPCs, getting to know the actual lifeblood. So I put role play at first. You can't have a character. You can't have anything if you don't have an atmosphere, and that's role play. If you don't have a backstory, general idea, if you're just numbers, there's not much there. Second, I would say, oh man, name them again for me. Oh man, I went on tangents and I forgot.
There's combat, roleplay, mystery, and solving puzzles, and exploration.
Okay, I would probably put mystery next because I really like that, and you don't see that too much in games. And when you get stuck on puzzles, it's really nice. And it also pulls into the next one. Mystery and kind of just quizzes or little things in games really pull a lot from a wizard. They excel when it comes to mystery and stuff like that. So throw the combat and stats right after that, because then that's giving you your kind of base character to do all the fun things. You want to explore the world, but you also want to be able to have a fiery sword and rage as you do it. So type of thing. And then exploration in the back, because I've also DM'd, and it can get hard if a character decides to say, hey, I'm going to take this flying ship all the way across your world. Now you're creating this world as you explore. And it's like, what's that tree? Like, oh no. Does the tree have a name? Oh, yeah, I didn't name the trees. Why didn't I name the trees? But
That kind of
always
scares
name the
me
tree.
about stepping into DMing.
Oh no. DMing is amazing. It's it's awesome. Don't let it scare you, but always name your trees.
Okay. And your horses, apparently.
Yeah.
So you put roleplay first. I would also put roleplay first on mine. I think it's the most fun to step into and try to step into the perspective of another character. So when you come up with your backstories, which help fuel your roleplay, are you somebody who has like a paragraph backstory, or are you somebody who like writes a lot?
I write a lot, sadly. I probably write too much.
Oh no, sadly, I am right there with you.
And I probably write more than I actually show the DM too. I'll try and, like, if I build a spell list or something, then I write reasons on how I got that spell. So when was I learning that spell? Like, as a wizard, you have to sit there and you have to transcribe, you have to learn. So there's no way of getting around having, that in your backstory somewhere. I mean, if you would be a sorcerer at that point, which is cool, be a sorcerer, but if you're sitting there learning your stuff. So to be able to sit there and think, why would I have learned Mage Hand? What put my character in that state of mind? Where was he in that time period? What age was he where he's like, I just want to start magically picking random stuff up? When did he learn Fortune's Favor? Why is he learning spells that mess with such time magic that could have such issues with it? Where's that coming from? So these, it really shapes the character, in my opinion.
I love that. I think I'm going to implement that when I decide to play the wizard character I'm thinking of. I think I'm going to also do that. I think it just adds so much more for me to help roleplay the character.
And the spells will come off a little bit just more naturally too, because they're going to be what your character would want to do. Like, if I'm a healer, my Felix, for example, look at the spell list. I don't have Firebolt as a cantrip. People would be like, why are you a wizard? Don't have a Firebolt? Because Felix would not learn Firebolt. He's not an aggressive style person. He just now figured out, aggression, kind of aggressive magic from Finnick. It's like, what the hell's going on? Caught that person on fire. So his eyes are being opened in such a way. So his magic will start to grow too, which is cool.
So cool. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Uh, so when you create a character, I'm gonna guess that you're not like a optimizer.
I would actually say I am,
Okay.
uh, because it's hard. So this is, I guess, where I kind of draw, I kind of hedge the line a little bit. If you're playing a wizard, this is again super biased because I'm playing super, caster classes. If I don't look at it slightly optimized, like if I have an array of stats and I roll something, and I have a 9, and I put that 9 in intelligence because I want to be quirky and dumb and I want to be a dumb wizard, I'm gonna get myself killed immediately. So there's no role playing. And also, how can a 9 intelligent wizard even learn spells? So sadly, there's a slight, with all characters, slight optimization has to happen. Um, but stat wise though, I think I don't care so much about stats. Usually my character, like Felix, bases a lot of his stuff off rerolls, advantage, having other people roll. So his stats aren't playing too much of a part. It's more how he's using his spells, the way he's using his kind of innate abilities. Uh, if I'm rolling to hit, it's probably because, sadly, Clover, I have not protected Clover properly, and now she is down, and I'm about to get smited by something. So
Yeah. And do you give your characters a flaw on purpose?
I don't think on purpose, but they usually naturally come up because that's also a good way to balance a character out to make a character make sense. If you have a 9 strength, for example, or an 8 or 6, or let's even go crazy, or 4, that's like a wizard with a broken back, some type of scoliosis. He's not lifting anything. His bones are brittle. So that could add a lot of fun flavor to it. Um, do I try to add flaws? Usually not, because there's gonna be there. A flaw will
Mhm.
be there, so naturally. If it's not, if I ever build something too crazy, a flaw will usually be wisdom. I like to play smart characters that are smart enough to know about it, but not wise enough to really know what to do with it. So it's like,
Uh-huh.
hey, I have this information, but what to do with it? Good luck.
I love that. Um, and so you also said that you've been a DM. When did you first DM?
Mm, I would say when COVID started amping up.
Oh, really?
Uh, my physical game broke up, and yeah. Prior to that, I just didn't feel comfortable. I was a little bit scared. There was a lot of I guess it's like looking at a book, and it's a huge just thesaurus, and it has series after series after series, and it's daunting, and you still start to read it, and now you're at the end of it and you look back, okay, that wasn't hard, or that wasn't as intimidating or as scary as I thought it would be. That's, I think, how it was for DMing for me. I was terrified. I was also scared for the experience for the other person. What if
Hmm.
I'm sitting here and I'm stuttering, or I'm I'm describing something improperly, or my speech impediment comes out, these type of things. So I mean, it definitely pulls on some insecurities. Uh, but once I got past that, and that took playing with a good group of people, playing with great DMs, people who built me up. And that's what we're doing. I hope that's what really the D&D game's all about, is pulling people together and just building and just enjoying the game,
Hmm.
slowly growing as a person, however that needs to be for that person.
Were you playing with friends you already had when you started DMing?
No, my the physical group broke up sadly, and we were
Mhm.
having a hard time figuring out our scheduling, the whole schedule woe with D&D. And
That's the thing.
I, I'm like, what? I'm just gonna go online and I'm gonna get away from the table a little bit and start doing web stuff like that. Everywhere there's players. I mean, everyone's looking for a game, but very little people want to take up the mantle because they're scared of the forever DM curse.
Hmm.
And I would say that's not real. The forever DM is not real. Uh, the forever DM is somebody who just loves DMing and they're afraid to say it. It's okay. You are the DM. You love it. But every DM should be able to get to play. So Listen to your DM if they want to play. DM for them. Rally around the table.
So doing the one shot with New Age Geeks wasn't the first time you played with totally new people.
No, I would say that's the first time I played with such a mass amount of people, though. And when I say that, I mean like all the groups. Like it was split up. There was such a big group of us. I forget, like 50 people, 50, 60 people. I forget how many. So that was really cool. It felt big. And I guess it makes you feel like you're a part of something, which was really cool. The whole exploration through just meeting all the different people. It's like a convention. I mean, you walk to a convention, the doors, and it's just waves of people, and it's just the different people you get to see and just meet. So it was.
Oh no, you're breaking up a little bit.
I'm sorry.
Let's give it a moment because sometimes it
Am I
fixes
frozen
itself.
still?
No, I think you're good now. Yeah. Good. As long as the gremlins don't bother us again. I'm knock on wood. Yeah. So when you first DM'd your first game, did you use like a pre-made module or did you homebrew something?
I should have used a mod. I really should have, but I just homebrewed. And I did very little planning. It was terrifying. I learned something real fast. It helps to be prepared. It definitely just helps. Past that though, you really don't know what your players are gonna do. It's when you give them a world. How do you really expect them to go to that one door that's you have highlighted in your mind, but they don't see obviously because they are seeing multiple doors. So they're gonna always choose the other door.
So how do you adapt to that?
Oh, like we learned from Joe, you make it a mimic. Wrong door.
True. And now that you've go ahead.
Just being sandboxy, I would say, just adapting, just really being ready and just enjoying to see what your players do. That's the best part.
And since you've DM'd, have you DM'd more games than that first one?
Yeah, I have a little world that I created, and it I would say it's pretty fun. I could go on a slight rant about this little world that I made, and then Loki, the film, came out. I'm gonna do it anyways. Whatever. So I made this game. It had to do with multiverse stuff, like multiple dimensions, blah blah blah, the whole same old spiel. And I played this world a couple different times, and then Loki, the film, came out. Another film, the show came out. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you what, my campaign that I built just screamed that. Everything just, it was like we were watching my campaign, and a couple of my players are like, "Do you see this, Joe?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I saw that too," and it frustrates me. The very last episode, one of the last episodes, was filmed in Fremont, Ohio. The writers from Fremont, there's a writer from Fremont, Ohio. So I'm thinking in my mind, whole conspiracy theory, like, wait a minute, I'm from Fremont, Ohio. This game, I was doing this game before Loki came out, but it's obviously conspiracy theories. But I thought it was a funny coincidence. It was cool too. There was a Marvel, filming in old
That's
school
awesome.
here. Really cool to see.
Mm-hmm. So does your world have like the time police thing?
Yeah, they're called the Keepers, and then you have the Keepers, then you have the what are they called? Oh man, I don't want to give too much away because there's a couple people in this in our group that are playing in the world too, and so I'm gonna end it there. Actually, I totally forgot. There's the Keepers, guys.
And then, which do you prefer now that you've dipped your toes into DMing? Do you prefer being a DM or do you prefer playing?
Definitely playing. Yeah, it's I don't think I'm good enough. I again, some of the insecurities there, and so that I think it's the I don't know what they call it, the after game. You know, the day after, I'm always just second guessing everything. Like, should I have him do this? Should I have him do this? Oh, did I give him? Why did I give him that magic item? Oh no, did I not level him up? So it could add a lot of stress to the game. But in all, I know it's really fun though. But in the end, I really do just like to immerse myself, relax with the players, and just dive into the game. Uh,
Mhm.
Kudos to Forever DMs. Like I said, stop being a Forever DM. Get into a game.
Have you ever thought of like DMing games professionally? I know that there's a lot of things popping up now.
Yeah, it definitely just crossed my mind. Again, it's that level of expertise. I've done a couple paid games myself, and I enjoyed them, but it is you have to look at it as like what you're getting out of it. And I full on. I mean, you go to a movie theater and you spend, I mean, tickets are like what, 6 to 12, $24 depending on where you're going sometimes. Um, so if you're willing to spend $24 to sit down for 2, 3 hours, why are you not willing to pay somebody who's going to put this time into it? Um, yeah, so I think there's definitely a career choice in there. DMs should get, you know, they deserve a lot. So if you're putting time into it and you see yourself, you have a skill, that's what it is. It's a skill set.
Mhm.
We have Uber drivers. I mean, we have artists. We have uh, you can think of it. If you can do it and somebody likes what you're doing, they're gonna pay you money for it.
For sure.
Yeah. And it's the experience too. I mean, some people, it just what they can bring to the table. I've like with Joe, for example, I would like wholeheartedly if he started to, hey guys, at New Age Geeks, we're gonna be doing paid DMing. Oh, he that's a A+ game, right? I mean, you're looking for immersion. You're looking for just everything that you're going into it. But if you're trying to pay for a game and I'm sitting at a table of 10 people, I'm probably gonna move on.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I am really interested in starting to DM. I've DM'd a one shot for the first time. That was really fun. And I hope to continue dabbling here and there. Do you have any advice for people like me who are very intimidated to step into that DM seat?
Um, I can't. Yeah, there's really no way because every DM is a little bit different on the way you want to manage the game and the way you play, and you really won't know until you really go in to do it. So you deemed a one shot, so you kind of swam a little bit. It's like, okay, I like this, and I want to do more of it. Jump into that deep end, give it a go. The worst case scenario, you role play yourself drowning as your players, are breaking your world apart, and then you just, do it again, and that's the good thing about it. It's your story, it's your world. I mean, in the end, you get to you get to live and you get to tell whatever story you've always wanted to tell. So I mean, it's definitely worth it. Do it.
Mhm. Seems. Oh, so when you DM, are you more of a theater of the mind kind of describer, or do you like to like show your players like visuals?
I try to be as theater of mind as possible. I like to. I think of when I think theater of the mind, I think of Stephen King when I'm reading his books. When you are reading just line after line, he builds the world around you. As you step, the water splashes onto the ground and creates a mud print of your foot. And just the way he brings you there, you forget you're a character. You forget you're reading a book, and you just want to keep going. Um, the last game I played, the DM did. His name is John. It's when I'm in a cleric, and he he did like this. He's doing the atmosphere of a winter storm, and I closed my eyes, and I legit felt like I was trudging through the snow. My cleric was picking up his feet, having a hard time. And when he opened that door and closed it, he felt the pressure change. He felt the coldness creep away, and the hot fire hit his face, and the ice melt from his beard. So it was just that's what is a good feeling of. But that's hard to do as a DM. I mean, you got to do that for everybody. So, um, another, I guess, advice: don't get bogged down by the details. Enjoy it. It's your game too. You should have fun. If the DM's not having fun, then mm, yeah,
I think that's
change
good
it up.
advice. That's definitely
Throw
good
the
advice.
different things in there. See what happens.
So you've talked a little bit about really enjoying role playing. You ranked role play first. Would you say that role playing is your favorite part of D&D, or is there another thing that comes in as being like, this is why I play D&D?
I would say, I would just say, yeah, it has to be the role playing, just being able to jump into a character, be in a different world. I've loved to play games like Divinity. We can go even back in the day, WoW. It's a little bit more meta gaming, kind of more stats kind of in WoW, but it was like the shallow water of kind of D&D for me. You get to be a different person. You get to have different sets of goals that you would never have in real life. Um, so I guess in role playing allows you to maybe see how you would react in certain situations beforehand. I mean, it's definitely a real thing when you're going through types of training. You want to know what you would do. So let's say I'm role playing and my heart's being broken, my family members dying, these are things that I'm gonna feel probably, and I would like, wow, this is how I'd probably react in your life, or this is kind of it opens my eyes to a point, you know.
Love it. And to flip that, is there a part of D&D that you would say is like your least favorite? Like,
Keeping track of equipment. And I try my best to take notes, but I'm pretty bad at note taking. So I usually play my characters and usually when I DM too, if I have an item and if I don't put it in my items list, or I don't remember I have it, that's me taking it and putting it on that side of the road and walking away. Like I decided to leave that magical potion because I didn't write it down. I forgot about it. So 6 sessions down the road, I'm like, I got a magical potion. I forgot. I'm probably not gonna pull that out because I'm gonna look and be like, oh, I don't have it. So I could probably get better in it. It's because I'm not good at it. That's probably why I don't like it as much. It's more of it's where I'm lacking the most. Is I need to keep track better.
So you've been playing D&D for a while. Do you have a craziest D&D story or coolest D&D story?
I would say one of the coolest would honestly be like when I took that my spell focus and shoved in the fire elemental. That was really cool. But I really think the character that kind of holds strong in my mind is one of my first characters, is the gnome. I went through a lot of epic stuff with him because he didn't start as a paladin. He started as a wizard actually. So it was one of the times where I thought I knew what I wanted, and I was just I was understanding. So I built a character very badly, I guess, and my wizard just kept dying. And I walked up to the DM and I'm like, what do I do? And I looked in a couple different things. I looked into being a bard. I'm like, I want to be a bard. And so he said, let's try to be a paladin. So he did the whole awesome DM, killed my character off, and this new gnome came out. And oh, hey, look, I got a new character, awesome. And that gave me kind of a feeling of, man, I can customize a little bit. I like that. I like if you're playing a character and you're growing into it, and you really don't enjoy it, then move on. It's creativity that just wasn't there for you anymore. It's just like writing a book or writing something. It's not bad. It's not good. It's just find what you are pulling from. Find that creativity. And then I did that gnome with the most epic thing I could think of would be when we were on our ship, and a kraken was actually taking it down, and I'm pretty sure that we were gonna die. So I just took my gnome and my giant owl up to the mast because everyone else was pretty much getting eaten and stuff like that. Um, and my last just to fly away. I had this giant owl, and I was gonna try to swoop down to get everybody, but it was just too late. So I said, you know what? We're just gonna go down with the ship, and this gnome and I just slowly went down as this kraken, and yeah, I think that was the most epic the way he described
So
it.
epic. It sounds
You
pretty
have to be
awesome.
those moments that you have to be there moments. But
Oh, I love it. That's why we play. Is those
yeah,
moments. Thinking about Forging Fates and our story, what have you enjoyed the most so far?
um, I would have to say the way that the characters are coming together. That's one of the harder things to do with a new game sometimes, and I think we've done a really good job. Sadly for Joe, been a little bit chaotic on the what to do list, but um, I really like how everyone is embodying themselves and also just expressing it to the world. I guess the actual virtual the whole fantasy world that we're living in when we play the game, uh, and we can see the impact too. So it's nice. So we're slowly seeing some things, and we definitely have a lot to experience. So it's kind of hard to say, but I would say how we're growing together as a party.
Mhm.
And the mystery behind Finnick.
So much mystery.
Let's just go to Finnick right now. Finnick, where are you at?
And what would you like to see more of in our story as we continue playing?
That's hard to. I can't really say because I have no idea what to expect, to be honest. Uh, yeah, because it's everything. We've had a little bit of everything. I can't think of anything more that. I don't. More chances to see Gormrog cook, maybe. See some dishes. So this I'll share this little tidbit here. Something I haven't roleplayed too much. I've been kind of slight on it. I'm playing the character with. I'm gonna say this so wrong, and I apologize. Synesthesia. Um, the when you can taste sound when you so he tastes numbers. So he when somebody says a number, he gets a taste in his mouth, right? So he himself is kind of floored a little bit by Gormrog's expertise, and one of his favorite numbers is coffee. That's why he drinks coffee so much, and I'm not going to share what that number is just yet. We'll find that in game if he ever explains it. Like Clover has a number. Everyone has a number, and he's going to be interested to see how numbers taste, which will probably be weird. Like, oh Joe, what's number 11 taste like? Like,
I love that.
it's a weird quirk there.
That's gonna be so much fun. What would do you have a favorite moment in our story so far?
I would have to say it was probably one of the first sessions when we're just sitting there eating. Stir and fry. I really like stir and fry. Whenever they're jumping around, it just honest probably because food, anything involving food, because that involves a lot of good role play. You see a lot of different personalities come out. I mean, you see a different ideologies just in the food choices that they're going to take. So it's really cool to pick up on those slight little variations. And I think everybody in the party has done so well on that. I mean, everyone has kind of a different palette, and whether that's our real palettes or not, we're playing on them. And it's fantastic.
I did not expect food to be as big of a part of this campaign as it has been.
No, we're gonna get a full cow. Tell you what. Somewhere down the line, we're gonna order a full cow. We're gonna have an eating competition. I haven't forgotten that whisper. Okay.
Do you have any questions as that questions about the story or other party members or things that you can't wait to find out so far?
Whisper silence kind of scares me. You're a little bit, when it comes to, I don't think we've learned anything about your backstory. I just know you like to hit things with these giant sticks and you can turn into something, shred me to pieces. And that is what I've learned from your character. Um, and everyone has some depth, and I'm Phoenix. I mean, that she's probably one of the more I'm interested in because I've accidentally played a part. I didn't realize I felt really bad when I mentally screamed in her mind. My character was so terrified. The only thing he could think of was connecting with the last person he talked to, which was Finnick, and he couldn't talk because he was so terrified. So it mentally went out, which obviously caused her some pain. So
I'm so excited. I
yeah,
can't wait. Is it Monday yet? Next Monday?
I mean, I know a little bit about Clover and stuff like that, but there's still a lot that I don't know there, so I'm excited to see how. Because she, honestly, probably a twist, in my opinion. I think we were a little fourth wall breaking here, getting together, learning about each other's characters. The most innocent looking character, you know, gonna be a gardener, like, oh, so nice, and then she is now stabbing things with garden tools. I mean, it's fantastic. But I can't wait to see everybody's stories grow.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to see how Joe has managed to tie all this chaos together.
We are fairly chaotic.
We're majorly chaotic, but we're chaotic in a general direction at least, right? So it's like we're a storm. It's like we're finding out clues, and now we picked up a griffin. Hey, look at that!
Talon. I can't wait.
Yeah, that's. I forgot about Talon. There we go. Boom. That would be a highlight. I really like Talon.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see what happens with that. If this griffin ends up just picking off things out in the outskirts, just living its life, or who knows? We'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm. I love it. So we're currently playing in the Critical Role world of Tal'Dorei. Is there a setting that you would like to play in but you haven't yet?
I've wanted to really play in a well fleshed out kind of like a sci-fi high fantasy setting, but those are really hard. I DM'd actually one of my favorite kind of weird homebrew games I did was a Marvel game where everyone had like little superhero abilities, and it was based off of what Earth was it? It's not Earth 616, it's like Earth 818 or something, where Tony Stark is evil and he just goes full on dictator, and him and Reed from the Fantastic Four figure out how to make this interdimensional, jail cell, all that cool stuff. So something like that, a super high fantasy where I can shoot laser beams, have a jetpack, go to Saturn, something like that. Yeah.
Super fun. Sorry, I'm gonna bring it back to Felix because I thought of another question. So,
okay.
If there was a live action, I'm stealing this from the Critical Role panel that I saw at Comic-Con, but if there was a live action show or movie of the Forging Fate story, who would you cast to play Felix?
either three. I got three people here. Jim Carrey, Robin Williams, or Paul Rudd, because I love all of them. I can't think of anybody who Paul Rudd is hilarious in my opinion, but Will Ferrell will probably do the best with the beard and his kind of craziness. Jim Carrey is amazing. They're all amazing. I would love to see any of them do anything. So those are my answers for whatever you're gonna ask me.
I'm trying to picture Paul Rudd. I can see the others struggling. I love Paul Rudd, but I am struggling to see if this is a chaotic wizard.
Yeah, Paul Rudd is a stretch, but I don't know, he's hilarious. His I don't know if you guys watch I got Apple TV for the dinosaur documentary for Leo, and he loves it. We just watch dinosaurs constantly. Really cool. Watch it. It's fantastic. But there's another show called the therapist next door, and Paul Rudd plays it, and it's like super dry humor. I love it. I can't get enough of it. But and Will Ferrell's in it too. What am I saying? Oh my God! Uh, throw Jim
Have you
Carrey in it.
seen
Um,
have you seen Paul Rudd trolling Conan?
yes,
It's
best
so
thing in
funny.
the world. There's no
Yes.
the amount of the amount of times he gets Conan is just nah. It's come on, Conan.
Anyone watching, if you haven't seen Paul Rudd trolling Conan, please Google that. Watch the YouTube compilation. Uh, it's priceless.
It is amazing. It is worth the watch. There's a lot of them by now, and he even did it during COVID, where he had them on live screen and everything. It cut, and there's nothing that Conan could do, right? Because it's live stream, and you can't stop it. So,
Oh, it's so good. Uh, Thinking of our story again, are there any scenes so far in our story that you would want to see fan art of?
hmm, I think it would be cool to have like a silhouette of maybe the cast going into sewers. Like you see a sewer lining, you just see like their dark silhouettes and they're kind of creeping into the sewer. We spend a lot of time in the sewer right now.
It's true.
Um, or us like in front of a table. You don't. All you see is the table, our hands, and the food. You don't see our face, just the food and what we're eating in the hands. I think that would be kind of cool. And everyone would be obviously a little bit different, a little bit quirky.
Sand on the table.
Obviously, sand. I gotta count that too.
um, so sorry, my dog started making noise. Um, do you have any advice, since you are such a roleplay heavy player, do you have any advice for players who want to roleplay more or get into need help stepping into their character?
I think if allowed by the DM, it really helps. Sorry for the tinkle. Hey, Hobbs, this is my cat. Hobbs, he just figured he should just put his tail on his face. Okay. Um, don't look at me like that. I'm in an interview, sir. Connecting your character with somebody else really gives you a sense of kind of a bigger being. Like, oh, my character's been in the world. I have somebody to fall back on. Uh, so that really helps a lot. Um, Past that, just choosing your character's favorite color, just favorite food, favorite smells, very basic things like that. I like the idea of getting super, super basic with the world, and I would close my eyes, take my shoes off. I'd be imagining and putting my feet into the grass, and I'd imagine the grass, how it feels. What would my character be experiencing? And that always seems to bring me to the world a little bit. But there's no wrong role play, though. I mean, that's one thing. You have so many different types of players and how they want to experience the world. In the end, if you're enjoying your character and you're getting to express on how your character that's role playing. If you're doing anything that outwardly shows what your character's being is, role play.
Great advice. I love that little exercise. I'm gonna try that for my next character too.
Yeah, the grass always feels good. Unless you're the Underdark, then there's no grass. Then I guess you're feeling dirt there. And that's another thing. So you get an idea of the ground, right? You now get the environment. That's probably what helps me. Knowing the environment.
Mhm. Have you ever tried acting?
I've done like theater and stuff like that. I was a drama kid. I did swim team and stuff like that all, but I did Sweeney and Sweeney Todd. I was in High School Musical. Oh my God. I was Jack Scott, the Velvet Fog of East High, High School Musical, and Vieira High School. Jeez. Um, I I wanted to go on and do some more stuff, but I went kind of I I wimped out. I definitely went more of something. I did a lot of theater, and then I also was doing martial arts. And martial arts was, I was teaching classes, I was helping with the school, so I was getting money. I was like, oh,
Mhm.
money or try theater. And so I went into a different skill set. So that really changed on my choices throughout. I would love to try. I mean, I even still I look at different things. I'm in this thing uh where it's like casting calls. Yeah, I put my email in there and they'll tell you what casting calls is around here. And I want to get into just advertisement, maybe just like, commercials. It's a good way to maybe jump into, just be an extra. I think that would be cool. Be 80 years old one day and be like, "Son, I was an extra in Spider-Man." Like, we don't care, Grandpa. We've heard this. It's like, but that's Toby. So, something like that would be.
um, I love it. Uh, so other than like your martial arts, what else do you enjoy doing outside of playing D&D?
Oh, I mean, right now, majority of my time is spent with Leo, and trying to not destroy my child's life. Growing a person has been the scariest thing I think I've ever encountered. It's something that you just know what you're doing. Even even everyone who says the researchers, the scientists, like, oh, this is the right way to educate a child, the right way to grow, a regular human being. 2 years later, they're like, oh, we were wrong. Do something different. So, but really, gardening. We do a lot of gardening outside. Have a nice little garden. Mm, Hiking. Spend a lot of time outside. Getting
Mhm.
Leo around. We were just at Urban Air, the coolest place alive. We went there today. It's like a trampoline warehouse craziness. Let him jump around everywhere, and it lets me
Aw.
go back to my go back to my olden days of being athletic.
Aw. And you mentioned earlier your love of Spider-Man. Uh, how long have you been a huge Spider-Man fan?
Oh man, a long time. I think I actually was probably a Carnage and Venom fan first, a little bit. I got the comic books from a friend when I was in middle school, and he gave me a couple of them, and a lot of them were kind of that kind of dark era a bit, and it pulled me into Spider-Man, and I just fell in love with his whole ideology, him as a hero, what they did, and the way he progressed. Just fantastic.
Mhm. And I know I've seen pictures, but when did you start cosplaying as Spider-Man?
Um, that took a little bit of oomph actually, because I really sat there and I researched and I looked at, suits, and I was thinking to myself, I really want to buy myself a suit. And
Yes.
I couldn't bring to give myself a legitimate reason other than I just wanted the damn suit. So I always put it off. But really, what fueled it a little bit, I'm not midlife yet, but I think it was a slight midlife crisis after I had Leo. It was like right after he was born. I decided to purchase a suit, and I decided to do birthday parties. I used to do a lot of birthday parties in martial arts. I would go and teach small classes, and so I went and just jumped back into that. And I wanted to get to hospitals. I wanted to give back. Sadly, COVID hit, so that got wiped out of the. So then it quickly just became, I can now become my child's idol because he also loves Spider-Man, either inadvertently through me or however that works. That's definitely my fault. Ask my wife, Chris. She's like, yes, all my fault. Uh, it's just cool. I'll go out and do a birthday party, and I'll make sure I come back in the suit and be like, Spider-Man. And then I'll take the mask off. It's like, oh, now you're dad. Put the
Oh,
mask back on, please. So,
that's so cute. I love that.
so it would
Oh,
probably Leo is why I really started doing it. But in all honesty, I just a couple years ago, he's about 3. I just really wanted to dive into it and try and like embody a hero that I thought was, somebody to embody.
I love that so much. Have you ever attended a convention of Spider-Man?
I have never done a convention of Spider-Man. I've gone to big events as Spider-Man though, but I have not had a chance to pull him into like like a Comic Con or anything like that.
Mhm.
I did AFW, They were having like this big like military thing, and they invited me. There was a whole bunch. It was about 300 people. I was running around as Spider-Man. People were freaking out like, oh. And, it was kind of it was. I felt naked running around a crowd, right? Because it's just spandex. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know how he's doing it flying through New York. It's got to be cold. Yeah. Hopefully there's thermal in his real suit.
um, and what's your take on the Spider-Man movies?
Oh, I love them. I think
All of them?
everything, all of them. I can't think of each one. Like, yeah, I could go on and on about that. Every single one was awesome. I think they're embodying different versions of Spider-Man in different comic times, and they do that by making sure in like this latest one when Andrew's Spider-Man, he said, "Oh, I'm not that awesome." And he's like, "No, you are amazing." You know, he said something in that manner, or no, fantastic. I forget what he said exactly, but he solidified, you're this particular, Spider-Man. It was really nice. Um, yeah, I think they're doing a good, awesome. MCU is doing a great job. They're obviously not going to go by what comics do because comic writers don't go by what comics do either. And you'll have one run that's going by a story, and then all of a sudden Hulk can breathe water. It's like, what are you doing, guys? So,
Do you have a favorite of the Spider-Man movies?
mm, probably because it was one of the first ones I got to see, and I remember as a kid, maybe it was like the mall age. I remember going to the mall. It was a big thing. Everyone hung out at the mall. Uh, you walk around, didn't do anything, and seeing Spider-Man with Toby was just the first time I got to see him in real life. Like he's on the big screen. It's brought to, it's real, and it was so the nostalgia just kept me with him. Um, Overall, who is the best Spider-Man in my opinion? I really think Tom is doing a really good job. He has a lot to grow as a young kid, obviously as an actor, in my opinion, but he's doing fantastic. And as long as the writers keep writing him as good as he's doing, I mean, we're gonna see probably the most genuine Spider-Man that we can see because now we see him he's in an apartment run down. Can't wait till he has to pay rent. Can't wait for that, fun meme to come around. Where's rent? I want Toby to go through that. Sorry, not Toby. I want to Tom Holland. See, I'm already thinking about Toby, but I want Tom Holland to go through that. It'd be cool to see.
Definitely. And
It'd be even cooler if they took it and they just totally threw it all for a loop. And if you read the comics, there's the Clone Saga. They started throwing clones in there. I'd like to see that. If you ever want to pick up a weird comics kind of section, the Clone Saga of Spider-Man.
And have you seen so my last guest on here, Matt, was talking a lot about the animated Spider-Man show. Have you also watched that show?
I've watched them all. Which one?
Okay.
Which one are we talking about?
I would have to ask him which
And
specific one.
Friends, the Amazing Spider-Man. Oh man, probably the Unlimited. He's probably talking about Ultimate Spider-Man. It's one of the newest ones.
No, it
Hit
was an
pretty.
older one for sure.
Oh, it's an older one. Ooh,
Mhm.
90s one. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe the one with Firestar and Iceman. That's my son's favorite one. He loves Iceman. He's like, I want to see Iceman, Dada. Iceman.
Do you have a favorite Spider-Man villain?
Carnage, definitely. I think I have. If I pulled out my comic collection, I have probably my holy grail is a super kind of rare Carnage book, and it came out with a Nintendo game way back when Nintendo was big and popular, and maybe out of just it was a collector's habit. You start collecting one thing, so you just zone in on that. So maybe that's why it happened for me. But Carnage definitely, and he's brutal. I don't think you get to see. We probably will never see Carnage as he's really supposed to be shown, and that's probably a good thing. I mean, it's definitely like an rated mature graphic. You got limbs getting ripped apart, the most graphic that you can think of. But you don't see that in superhero movies. I mean, we see that in The Boys. Actually, that's a cool show. But
Mhm.
this chaos that these superheroes bring, this destruction that they're, you know, putting upon this town gets washed away in comics usually. Like, oh, Spider-Man just got thrown through 3 buildings. Well, that's 3 buildings he just got thrown through. That's a lot of destruction there. And the boys show that really well.
Mhm. I love that show. It's been great. It's been a
Oh,
ride. Homelander is terrifying.
yeah. It makes you think if Superman really went AWOL, what would happen?
Scary.
Hmm.
Uh, so, as a huge fan of Spider-Man and the comics, what do you think, in your opinion, what do you think it is about comics and superheroes that really captivates fans the most?
Probably it gives somebody to look up to. I mean, there's a lot of I mean, comics are very political too. Some people are getting kind of angry, like, oh, why are comics political, getting more political? They've always been political. You look on what they're talking about. Even the supervillain, let's take kind of a touchy, the supervillains, for example, they all don't like Nazis. That's a common trope, in there. That's as political gets when it comes to it. And it shows like I'm evil, but I'm not a Nazi though. It's like okay, I mean, so it's always been there.
Mhm.
It's never gonna go away, and and they put it in a perspective I think a certain imagination can understand, because I think that's what reading a book is. There's different mediums, different art, and everyone's gonna perceive and interpret that art better from different mediums. So one person might want to read a book. Somebody wants a comic strip. They want to see it visually, played out to them. Somebody wants to just hear it audio, or see a movie. So it's comic just brings a whole different life to it.
Mhm. And are you how do you feel about these comic or movie adaptations of the comic stories?
I like them. I think sometimes they can get a little bit crazy, but I try not to get hung up on how they take the story, because I think Dan Lee said it best. He in one of his interviews he said that I always get asked this question on who would win, superhero A or superhero B. The person who's going to win is whoever the writer wants them to win. So it doesn't, yeah, however the writer wants to see it, that's how that's what we're gonna get. It's not up to us really. Take um oh man, this is bad, I can't think of Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel just came out. They changed her abilities a little bit, the big one, where she got big and she stretched, stuff like that. Now it's like a light, right? They changed it a little bit, and they came out and said, we know we changed it, we're okay
Mhm.
with that, this is how we see her powers. And so that I love that. Let's see a different depth in the character. Let's see how you would take it.
Mhm.
Because no matter what you do, you're gonna love who you love. It's Iron Man. You're gonna love Iron Man no matter what. If they killed him off in MCU or not, you're always gonna be there for him. That type of thing.
Mhm.
Don't kill off Spider-Man. Don't do it, MCU.
Oh, so I do, looking at the time, I do want to get to our next sections. I've got two segments for you, a special segment for you. But before I go to the next segment, uh, we've had cameos, and earlier in this interview, we had a cameo. Can you tell us about your? Do you have one cat, or do you have more than one cat? Tell
Oh,
us
I
about your
have.
cat.
Yes, fantastic. Hobbs and Gizmo. Hobbs, you saw.
Oh.
Um, we rescued them both from Humane Society. We've had Hobbs for 5 years, 6 years. So he's about 7. I think we got him when he was just going on a year old, maybe a little bit younger. And I don't know. I walked into the Humane Society and we checked out so many different cats, and that one just opened and it was Hobbs, and he ran to me, and it was just love at first sight. And he is. Chris always says like we have this weird connection. Like, get a room, get a room. He's always on top of me, and so he's the most I've ever been connected with a cat. To be honest with you, he's my familiar.
Mhm.
He is my um a Gizmo is just like the same. When we met in the Humane Society, he was the first time we walked in. We had to go twice, and it was this little kitten in this little tiny little cage, freaking out like "Wah," just going crazy. And I remember thinking, we're not opening that cage. We're not taking that one home. We're moving on. And then the next day, something told me to let him out, and I let him out. He played and he calmed down instantly. He literally just wanted out of the cage, obviously. And I think I talked to Chris and I said, Chris, I don't think anybody else is gonna adopt this cat. How crazy it is! It's definitely a crazy cat, and it is now a big fluff ball. The most personality. He does not like anything. I don't know. He loves to be pet. He loves things, but he's just angry all the time. Pet him too much, he's like, "Grr, grr." He's so overly fluffy. He has this mane, right? And I have to shave him. He tries to lick it. He can't. It gets in his mouth. Poor little cat. I love him to death. Gizmo. I call him my trunk kitty.
I love it.
Whenever you go to the bathroom, he's right there. He's like, "Oh, you want to pet me now? You're going to the bathroom." It's like, this is like the worst time to want love. Like, you hate me out of 24 hours a day, except when I go to the bathroom. Like, yeah,
Animals are
yeah,
strange.
pretty strange. Yeah.
I love
You
it.
probably will never know, but you'll definitely see Hobbs. Almost,
Hobbs.
I think in pain, he jumps in my face. So,
Well, I love the Hobbs cameos. Uh, so going into our next segment of the interview, we have a special cast segment. We're gonna play a little game of Most Likely To, and this is inspired by our other cast member, Cece, who plays Finnick. So I've got some uh, sentence starters, and I would like you to let me know which other cast member you think would most likely to do these things.
okay.
All right. So the first one is, who do you think is most likely to spend all their money on something stupid?
Clover. I'm gonna go faster. The first name that's gonna pop in my mind. Sorry, Clover. Sorry. So, I think she's like, "Oh, shiny. I'm gonna get that." It's like, but in all the best ways possible, though. I'm gonna be honest, because sometimes the most nonsensical thing could be the best thing.
All right. And who do you think is most likely to either split the party or run off on their own?
I would have to say either Felix or Finnick. I feel like we have the most kind of weird, kind of I don't want to say like edgy or anything, but we definitely have a little bit of craziness, to our side. And I know Felix wants to run away from everything already, and Finnick is so mysterious that maybe she's the big bad. I don't know.
I love it. Who do you think is most likely to catch themselves on fire?
Whisper. Yes, that one's easy. I would see it you swinging at something that's obviously on fire too, but you're like, look, I have to hit you. I'm sorry you're on fire, but guess what? I'm gonna start whacking at you. But...
I'll take it. Who do you think is most likely to sell their soul in a bargain?
I mean, I know I would. I think if you give
you
Felix...
can say yourself, yeah.
Yeah, there we go, Felix. Yeah. Give it to me, Joe. Let's go. You got Felix's soul. Take it.
Who do you think is most likely to become immortal?
Gormrog, because of this food. I see him coming in I see him with a magical like cookbook or something, because I think he's talked about learning magic, right? So, watch the food one day. It's gonna start talking to us.
Oh no, not like the talking chairs.
Can you animate food? Oh my gosh, this is a question. I'm gonna write that down. I might be trying this.
Oh no.
Can I animate a sandwich?
Who do you think is the most stealthy?
I would have to say Clover. She's scary stealthy too. Like, it's surprising. It's you look one place, another, like, where did Clover go? Oh my, Clover. It's like, why are you over there right now? But no. I think she built a really cool character when it came to how she can sneak and her abilities. like I said, like we built the character, like as in she told me some things. I was still surprised. I was so it was cool to see.
And I've got a couple more. Who do you think is most likely to arm wrestle an orc?
Whisper or Gormrog? I'm gonna give it to Whisper. Hard Whisper. I feel like it's like I get kind of you like competition a little bit maybe. You want to maybe not prove yourself, but you want to test yourself maybe. And hey, I see like when I said I could eat a whole cow, immediately Whisper was like, he can, I want to let's see who can really eat the whole cow. Like,
100%. I agree with that one. This one's a little relevant. Who is most likely to be eaten by a mimic?
Almost, man. I mean, Clover almost got it. I'm gonna give it to Clover then. But no, I think any of us really, because that was such a well placed mimic in game. That was good. That was very shocking, and so now we're gonna check every door. We're
We're
gonna
gonna
get
be
like
hyper paranoid of doors.
a stick, poke in the door. Before we go into it, I'd like to poke it with this yardstick.
And who out of the party do you think is most likely to start a cult?
Inadvertently, Felix, without giving too much away, with the type of magic he dives into and stuff like that. Things have consequences, whether you want those consequences or not, or whether you see those consequences. When you mess with things, they definitely have a ripple.
And my last one for this segment, before we jump into our next segment, who do you think is most likely to join a cult, whether they mean to or not?
Oh, I feel bad. I keep throwing Clover on their bus. On accident, Clover. Because she's very open. She wants to make friends, and she's just very optimistic, right, about the world. And I love that. It's everything's good, everything's sunshine. But if not, I'm gonna hit you with this, garden. And so it's good. Yeah, I have to give it to Clover.
As she says in chat, I would though. Perfect. So that wraps up that portion. Thanks for playing along. Next, we're going to jump into the dicey question segment of the interview. But for the chat that's listening, if you have any questions for Joey, aka Felix, as long as it's not too spoilery about the future of the character, please ask it in the chat while I go through the dicey questions.
Luckily, I can't see the chat right now because I would be like Tom Holland, just spouting off things. I'm trying. I really am.
So for this segment, I will roll this d20 and then ask you the corresponding question to whatever comes up in the roll.
Okay.
We got a 13. Ooh, this is a good one. What is your favorite version or depiction of time travel?
Ooh, that's right on the money.
Oh,
wow.
good.
Man, there's so many different versions. I would honestly say I really like how Ant-Man did it, actually. Maybe this is another reason I like Paul Rudd. So their idea of time travel, they're going more physical, the actual science behind it, quantum realms, right? You're shrinking yourself and you're going down into such a tiny amount, you're able to slow yourself down. So that, I like that kind of idea. And then Paul Rudd uses that different size and being able to change his size to actually move through the different time. That's creative. It makes it a little real for me. I can sit there and like, oh, maybe I can learn time travel. Let me shrink myself real fast. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, I'm going to roll it again. And we do have some questions coming in that I'll get to after this roll.
Okay.
We got a 10. So This is also a good one. What is in your hoard? Or like as you as a person, what do you collect?
Oh man, a lot of stuff.
We're gonna see.
Stuff like this.
You and Matt have to talk.
Yeah, this, this is a McDonald's kids meal, Happy Meal from like the 90s, super old. Uh, I have comics. Also, what I really like, and I'm excited about the Ren Fair. Magical rings. These things are awesome. Like this is the ring of spell storing. I mean, they're just really cool. It's fun to have. And they're legit actual D&D rings, right? So if you go into the player's handbook, that's the spell storing ring, all that fun stuff. So
Those are so cool.
random knickknacks that are probably useless. It's like Beanie Babies one day. I'm gonna look back like, what did I do? But love every bit of it.
Yeah. As long as you're enjoying it and it brings you joy.
Like Deadpool Nerf guns that I don't use. They're just in a box. You're like, Deadpool has Nerf guns. I'm gonna do it. So
All right. We have some questions from the chat. Nico Lavender asks, you have to spend the night with one, the hook horror nail lady, or Wendy, or the fire genasi bomb lady. Who would you pick?
oh man. Honestly, that nail lady, Wendy's scared. That's creepy. Like, I would have to go with the fire genasi bomb. I don't. What is she doing? Like, what is she doing with our blood?
I hate Wendy.
I'll burn. I'd rather just burn, for real. Just. It's that meme where you're just on fire. Like, this is okay.
This is fine, yeah. All right. Another question we have is, how did you feel about Gormrog and Felix's talk about his number tattoos? And did it go the way you thought, or did it go differently?
I think it went about how he thought. Felix is having a hard time figuring out how to bring that up, to be honest. He's a little bit terrified on the implications on what happens if he really starts to dive into that. Yeah, I think as a player, he didn't know how to take the odd consideration that Gormrog was giving him. It's something that's very unnatural to Felix, so that was definitely something that was cool to see as character growth wise. I got to force myself through. Oh, I got to take a compliment here as Felix, and he's not used to that. So
we've got a question from Little Steffers 13. Are you a dice goblin?
Yes. Let me just keep raining the dice down on me. Yeah, I am definitely a dice goblin. I love the dice. The Quickly Clacks are nice. I want to get what I haven't gotten, but it's nice gemstone dice, like the razor sharp edge, the beautiful. I look at them like 60, 70 bucks, stuff like that. I'm like, do I need that set? I'm getting closer to yes and yes, because I look at it, I'm like, well, I've bought in about at least hundreds of dollars worth of dice anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Do you have a favorite set that you have?
Nope, because they all screw me.
Oh no.
Yeah, I can't think of a dice that I'm like, wow, this dice is rolling all the nat 20s. You got people who roll like, they're like, oh, this is the coveted dice. I have not run into it. They all want to just see me burn. Like, I thought these were going to be cool. These were like dice from the pop figures from the Curse of Strahd. This is as Curse of Strahd dice as I can get. I roll this, let's see. Yeah, 5. I mean, 5, literally again. 5 again. I'm like, sorry, now I'm making me skip. Okay, crazy. Dice Goblin questions came out. This is the Dice Goblin.
I love it. Another question we got from Kuma the Sleepy is, what do you see being Felix's biggest project he'd want to study? if this is not spoilery.
Um, at this point right now, understanding magic. So he went through school, and the way I see it, he knows enough to understand the language. It went from a blurred text, having to decipher things constantly through years, and now he finally can understand this magical language. And so diving into uh, diving into that a little bit, because that really will help his main goal is really to find a place. I guess that's his mission, finding a place, however you want to take that. Finding a place wherever that would be is his goal.
This next question might be spoilery, so you can skip it if you can't tell us this, but what is Felix afraid of?
Never having a family, I would say. Never getting to experience, because he would see, he's, that's probably another thing that's kept him a little bit, not growing fully attached to Lyndon's family as he should, or not taking it. Lyndon opened up his arms, hey, Felix, come in, this is your family as well. And he kind of shunned away from that a little bit. And it's a lack of knowing how to have a family, maybe, or lack of knowing how to show love, that type of idea. So that's a big fear. I guess that may be a lot of people's fears, right? Like the lack of maybe something you're not good at, never actually being able to figure out how to do that.
Another question we got is for you, not for Felix. What TV series did you binge last?
Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I will watch that till I die. It's hilarious. It is crude. It is probably the most crude intellectual humor I've encountered. I love them to death. Yeah, Always Sunny in Philadelphia. That's all I watch, actually. I'm washing dishes. Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Back at me. Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
And then a fitting follow-up question: is there room in Felix's life for love?
I guess at that point you got to learn how to love yourself. So at the moment, no. I would say until he figures out that he is a being along with everything else, kind of sees himself as artificial almost, not real, not belonging. So probably not. But that could always change. I think that's one thing that you see in real life. You say you don't want love, and all of a sudden it just starts pounding you in the face, like, hey, guess what? You're in love now. So that's love. So who knows? But usually, honestly, I try to stay away from relationships, because that gives the DM a chance to then kill that people off. It's like, oh, you have a family? Like, not anymore.
Yeah. I was reading an interview with Matt Mercer from Critical Role, and he was saying that one of the hardest things to do in D&D is make your character have like a family, or like have sons or daughters and have children, is because you just know something that puts your character's emotional health in danger.
Most definitely. It's like, oh, you remember that dog you had as a child? No. Don't.
Yep.
He's still alive. Like, oh, don't do that.
And then another question we have from the chat is, what fantasy or sci-fi series do you wish to be a part of, either as yourself or as a made-up character for that world?
I think that would be easy Marvel, kind of that sci-fi is fantasy. But if we're going more sci-fi fantasy, then I would have to pull out. Ooh, man, there's a lot of them. Is Hercules, does that count? No, that's not sci-fi fantasy. It's kind of fantasy. I don't know. That's a hard one. I can't really think. There's so many good ones, really. I'm just gonna pick a random one. What is that game? because it's always stuck into my mind, and I'm having brain farts now. Apparently none. Apparently none. I have a superhero complex. I like the idea of helping people. It's probably why you see me doing a lot of support roles. I want to be there as a support, be useful, that type of thing. And you see that in superheroes almost in an extreme amount. They have this superhero complex where some of them, like, go basic DC, will even get away from Marvel. Batman, as he has this white knight complex where he just wants to save everybody no matter what, even if it involves his family dying around him. So it's interesting to see that idea. So it's kind of warp it. And then you bring it back to Spider-Man. Just to be in a world that you could be sitting there one moment just drinking coffee, and then a giant guy in a rhinoceros costume go rolling down the street. I would say that adds enough twist to your day that you would never be bored. Like, you can't say you're bored when Jameson's screaming at you about the menace of Spider-Man.
We have another question: is would Felix sacrifice the others if it meant saving Clover?
100% probably. At this point in time, if without a doubt, only for the fact of relationship value. He sees Clover as family. He's made a promise to Lyndon. I think he's even said in game that he's going to be there for Clover, so he's not going to break that. How or why, it would probably be pretty chaotic. He'd probably end up taking himself. He would try to take himself before the party, but in the end, like, okay.
When would he not be chaotic?
When he's sleeping.
Oh, no chaotic dreams then.
No chaotic, not yet, at least. That's all finished so far, so.
Thank you, GPS88, for the bits. Super appreciate it. I think that wraps up our Q&A portion. So before we close out for the night, is there anything you want to plug or anything you want to shout out?
Shout out to the New Age group and the whole cast. Honestly, I'm very appreciative to be here. You guys are awesome people, and I love the game. Plug, nothing really to plug. Pretty simple. Unless you want to see me jump around in a Spider-Man suit and have at it. But just jump into New Age Geeks, the Discord, and I'll post some cosplay, some fun stuff.
Yes, everyone should join our Discord. We should, I think you could find it in our profile, or maybe we'll get someone to link it in the chat now.
Yeah, a lot of cool stuff going on in the Discord. There's even people putting games together. Just a good group of people. There's a section if you need help or if you just need a rant, it's there. And always good advice flowing. Nothing in negative. That's one thing it's hard to find with a big group of people. Positivity is running dry in this world, so see a little bit more of it.
And I think that brings us to a great stopping point for tonight. So thank you again so much, Joey. It's been so fun talking to you and getting to know you better. It's been fun playing with you, and I can't wait to see where our story evolves from here.
It's going to be a crazy, crazy adventure, and I'm excited.
And thank you to everyone out there listening and everyone in the chat joining us here at Goodberry Cafe. I hope you've enjoyed your stay, and I hope you'll join us again. Our next episode is... I hope you'll join us again for Forging Fates next Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, wherever you are, line it up to those. Same time, same space. And then the following Monday, when Goodberry Cafe does come back, I will be having on another cast member, Dom, who plays Gormrog. So that'll be another special episode. So I hope you'll join us then too. But until next Monday, I encourage you to follow and subscribe to our channel. Be sure you tune in, and I hope you have a very good night. It's been great.